All right, hey guys, Josh here. I've got Yusuf over in Clifton, New Jersey. He's been through the program. He's been hired. He's got a great story to share with you guys. Yusuf, tell everyone a little bit about your background, both non-sales and sales, before getting involved with Prehired. It's a great story. Can you tell us that?
Sure. So I actually have an honors degree in environmental science from the New Jersey Institute of Technology and Rutgers. I actually started out, so I have like concentrations in field work, and I had a really good background in education. So I started out actually as a teacher. So I was a teacher for 2 years, getting in there, doing all that stuff. 2 years into it, just the money wasn't good enough. The political climate was really, really rough. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on. I figured like I got to get out of this. So I went into like engineering and like real stuff that I learned a lot about in college. I was a water treatment tech, and I was working down in the DC metro area. So I was DC, Maryland, Northern Virginia for 3 weeks, and then drove all the way up here. So New York City, Long Island for 1 week.
Wow.
Was going everywhere from like the basements of hospitals to the top of skyscrapers on Wall Street. I was there working on a bunch of stuff. And it was a super cool job. I did that for about a year and a half, and then in October 2016, I was T-boned by a distracted driver. I was just going down. He ran a red light, boom, hit me driver's side, and then pushed me into another car.
Wow.
So that was rough. It wasn't easy. Unfortunately, I had the injuries I sustained didn't allow me to keep my job. So 4 months into trying to get better, they had to let me go, and that was huge. I didn't know what to do. And I was just, when I was doing my stuff, I still had all my stuff down in Maryland. So instead of trying to look for another job, I tried to do what could make me the most money the easiest. And I became an Uber driver, actually. So I was an Uber driver for 5 months in the DC metro area. And by the time I was done, I was a number 3 Uber driver in DC. So if you remember the guy in the Ford C-Max Energy that had great conversations, that was me.
Wow, man. So, okay, so just to summarize for everyone listening, you were a teacher turned scientist, engineer, turned Uber driver, and
Right.
you also had a little bit of a sales background too, prior to Prehired. What was that again?
So I had 2 things before Prehired. Well, 3 things before Prehired. Growing up, my father had a repair shop, so I grew up in the repair shop doing all that stuff. You know, hey, I've got something wrong with my car. Here's what's wrong. This is how much it's going to cost to fix it. In college, I ended up selling things like phones, but I also ended up selling makeup for a while too, which was pretty funny. Because
Is there anything you can't do?
Hey, you know, I was always been taught, you know, the only shameful work is no work. That's what it is, you know. So it was really fun learning makeup completely out of my comfort zone. You know, I'm the 6-foot-tall Arab guy with a beard. And I was just like, look at the shadow eyes, you know, these colors mix great. It's organic. And then after Uber, so my apartment, everything, my lease ended up. I decided to move back up to New Jersey. I was looking for work. I was driving down the highway, and I saw a hiring now at a Ford dealership next to my house. And I'm like, you know what? I'm good at sales. I was so good at Uber, just talking to people, you know. Let me try selling cars. Let me see if I can even get the job. I don't know if I'm the kind of person that could do that. Long story short, you know, a week later, I got the job. And it was a completely new experience, huge learning curve, and I did excellent. I did extremely well. 8 months in, I became salesman of the month at that dealership, and it was pretty great. So that's when I knew I'm going to stick with sales, but I didn't know if I could stay with car sales.
Okay, so that leads me to the next question I've got for you. Is, so for everyone, again, like Yusuf has an incredible background, just going from teacher, scientist, engineer, Uber driver, then sales, but he's been selling things throughout his life. But then the first real kind of full-time sales gig that he learned a lot was car sales. Kind of cut his teeth on that, realized you wanted to be in sales. So then you come across Prehired. And what was going through your mind then? I mean, you knew you wanted to be in sales, but why were you considering Prehired? I mean, were you all in? Did you have doubts? What was going through your head about that?
So I actually discovered Prehired when I was recovering. So I had surgery back in March for my shoulder from the car accident. And I was just sitting there, and I was in my sling, and I'm like, I got to do something else with my life. You know, I'm 28. I gotta be smart about it because I'm typically doing all the hard physical stuff. I do things the hard way. Like, let me try to get smarter at it. So I was looking around, I was searching things, and I was searching software sales actually, or technical sales on Craigslist, and I saw an ad for like Prehired, whatever, and I'm like, this looks fake. So I was like, there's no way. So I click and I fill out the stuff, and I'm like, this looks so. I think I'm being tricked here, man. And then I get a call from Andrew, and he's like, hey, we're real, and I'm like, dude, no way. And it's like, how is this gonna work? He's like, look, this is how the industry is. You know, this is sales, this is lead generation. It's a huge industry. A lot of people don't know about it. It's massively good, and you know, it costs this much. And I'm a sales guy, so I'm like, look, if it's really this good, I pay the money, I do my due diligence, I do the program, I get a job, it'll pay for itself within like the first paycheck or the first 2 paychecks. So I'm like, that's low risk. So I told myself, that's low risk.
I love that. I love the call. That's low risk. that kind of, you know, makes me feel a little bit better that you're, it's fake.
that was a real thought, I promise. So I'm like, that's low risk. So I actually started the program in a sling, still on pain meds and stuff. Like, all right, I promise you the pain meds had nothing to do with my decision.
I love that. Oh, man.
So I'm sitting there and I start the first lesson and I'm like, I made a mistake. You know, I'm like, this is I don't know anything, you know, and I learned how to use Microsoft Excel junior year of college. Like, that's how little about computers or anything like
wow.
that. So like, I'm like the worst person who could come into this. I'm the least able person that I know, or, you know, in my scope of people that I know that should even think about going into a field like this. But, you know, I had nothing to do. I was recovering from a shoulder thing, and I'm like, I believe in myself. Let me try this out. You know, Josh seems like a good guy. I LinkedIn him. You know, I searched him up like he's a real person too. No one's a bot. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And
I'm glad you mentioned that, because you would not believe how many people in emails, calls, or applications that they turn in, like they're like, are you even real? Are they real? Like, I'm like, listen, like, the difference between a scam, and for anyone listening to this, the difference between a company trying to scam people and the ones that are real are the fact that our faces are on everything. My face is on everything. You can look up our team members that actually work full-time for us. We do live coaching calls. We do webinars. We send out direct mail in the mail. We have our physical mailing address on emails. Like we hold ourselves accountable for results. Like, we have a whole program. Like, we have marketers, designers. Like, so this is pretty real. And then I've even had some people who used to say that, you know, I thought that, you know, maybe you had paid actors doing the videos, like on the stories. I'm like, in the reviews, I'm like, where do people come up with this stuff? Like, that's so much work to just.
Josh, that's what it is. It's too good that you look fake. You gotta make some mistakes so people think you're human.
Yeah, right. So anyways, you would believe some of this stuff. So I'm glad that, you know, you're not a bot, I'm not a bot. We're real people. We're talking about what actually happens. So here, I cut you off in your story. Go ahead, man. That's actually something I tell in training. Don't interrupt the prospect. But you know, this is a sales call. I can interrupt you.
So you know, I'm sitting there and I'm learning this stuff and I'm listening to the videos and I'm like, man, you know. But I'm like, just do it. So I'm sitting there, I'm doing it. I'm going to rehab. And rehab was rough. You know, they told me it's going to be like 6 months and you might not get everything back. You know what I mean? So I'm like, all right, I'm going to double down. So I was doing rehab 3 days a week at PT, 4 days a week by myself. I actually finished in 4.5 months instead of 6 months. And my shoulder works just fine now.
Man, that's great.
Thanks. But here's the thing. Because it was only 4.5 months, I needed a job, right? Yeah. I needed to go back to work. So 2 weeks before I was done, I actually got a call, and I applied to, I got a job at another Ford dealership, a different one, better paying, things like that. Mm-hmm. And I thought to myself, like, look, Yusuf, you gave it your best, you did your stuff, you know, I guess the car business is for me, and although I finished the Prehired program, I guess this is just how it is. This is fate, you know. And I made peace with it. I really wanted to work, and I made peace with it. And I started working in the car business. A week later, mind you, I applied to like a bunch of places. I followed the process. I made connections on LinkedIn. I did, everything that I was supposed to do, and I was in the process of being getting hired, and getting interviews done. And I just so happened, to reconnect with some people. And so a week later, I met this guy. He's got 3 companies, and he's, we're just chatting about stuff. And I'm like, oh yeah. He's like, yeah, we're having trouble finding, clients. It's really tough. Everyone's working part-time because, we're just a startup. And I was like, oh, I know how to find people. I can do lead generation. He's like, what are you talking about? So there's 3 companies under him. The first company, it's a cosmetics line. All right. And I'm like, I used to sell makeup. Bam. So it's a cosmetic line. The second company is medical prosthetics, because this guy he's a surgeon. And then the third company is selling podiatric services to long-term care facilities and nursing homes. And his whole thing is like, we've just been having a lot of trouble doing whatever. I was like, look, give me a day. Let me show you what I can do. If I can do that for you, do you think I could work with you? He goes like, dude, if you could find some leads, I'll pay you per lead. I'll do whatever. We'll figure it out. We'll sign the contract. We'll do whatever we got to do. Let's do it. One day later, I found 10 leads for not just leads, right? So like everyone says leads. No, pre-hired leads. What does that mean? Names, email addresses, phone numbers, physical addresses, and then like a small bio about the company. I use the CRMs and like the lead generation software I learned for Prehired. Like, hey, this place makes $10 million annually. This place makes $10,000 annually. So who are we going to go for? The $10 million guys. They're the ones who have money to buy our stuff. So I showed them we could filter out all this stuff. And, I also, for the prosthetic line, I found 4 distributors, 1 CEO, 1 BDM, 4 phone numbers, 4 email addresses, 4 addresses.
And that literally took you no time at all to do that. Like, that's the thing is,
like a half hour.
And yeah, so it took you a half hour to get all that information. And here's the thing, guys, and this is why I'm loving your story, Yusuf, for everyone, is the most of the people that come into Prehired, they are coming in here to get a software sales job that pays 6 figures, because that's the industry average in the United States for software. And it's generally the highest paid sales position per industry when you look at like the different industries you can be in. You've been in car sales, so you know how the game works. Anyways, but the thing is, we get 2 other types of people in here. So the main people, I'd say the majority, maybe 70-80% of people are coming here. Actually, probably 60 to 70% of people are like, I want to hardcore get a software sales job fast as possible. But then we have the second type of person is like, I'm already actually in software sales, or I'm already in a great paying sales job that I like, but I want to learn more skills. Since you're programming, you guys already train tech companies. I want to learn like from the best. If you're already training all these other top tech companies internally, I want to learn your program anyways. So they go through it. And then the third type of person is similar to you, where you're kind of entrepreneurial and you're like, I want to just like go big, and I want to like maybe make a business for myself or be a consultant and kind of step into these companies that are not in a highly tech industry, and they're kind of a lower tech industry. And you're like, listen, I can be a consultant. I can like get you these leads. I can get you this, and they'll pay you a lot of money to do that. And you created basically a business for yourself, where as if it's not like, maybe they're your full-time clients that you're working remote for, or maybe you decide like you want to get 4 or 5 clients at one time. But that's the thing, is we got a lot of people coming in here like, hey, I'm not going for a software sales position. I'm gonna use everything I learned to essentially build an agency or a business for myself that does sales consulting or something like that. Because once you know how to be a one-man or one-woman sales machine, like because leads are the lifeblood of every business. If you don't have leads, your company dies. And so when you know how to start a sales funnel from the start of prospecting and qualifying down to discovery and advisory and closing deals, following up, when you know that whole process, and we can break it up into phases, and you can dive deep into each one as what step happens in each phase, you are now incredibly invaluable to any company that needs that, and every company needs that. And so these smaller companies or companies that are not in the tech sector, if you want to make a company for yourself, we've got a smaller percentage of people coming in here just to build a business around these things. So I love the fact that you're like, okay, I have this opportunity from some of my other industry backgrounds, and I'm just going to use what I know to work these businesses. And who knows, down the road, you could be running these businesses for this guy, or you could have your own company having multiple clients, and he's one of many.
Right, right. And I'm hoping that's going to end up being the case, just because it's like it's such a high skill set, and also you know potentially high reward, high
Mm.
risk, high reward kind of thing, and it's just it's so freeing now, because even in my, so I still have the car sales job because this is all startup, it's all part time.
Yep.
Um, I'm using the pre-hired skills that I learned to do my own lead generation and prospecting and all that stuff for the car business, right? And where I am, and we'll get leads submitted. We have our own CRM, and it's not very good.
It
So,
never is.
so
Internal company CRMs, when big companies that provide platforms to their own people, like they're never as good as like the market that's out there. Like, and that's why yeah. So I know how that feels, man.
So like just to give an example, right? So like we'll get leads in, we'll do our stuff. I put them in the company CRM, but I put them in my own, right? That I have there. My managers don't know about this yet because I'm right now I'm building something that I want to show them, and hopefully showing them that like, hey, I can do this. I can do the job of the entire BBC department. Hopefully that will also leverage me. It'll either leverage me or get me fired, but whatever.
But you know what? Here's the thing, though, is I love that you're able to take those risks, and that's the thing that I always hear from our members when they go through our program is two things. Number one is I've got confidence, like confidence to take risks that are measured because I now know what I need to know to be successful. So if it doesn't work out here, I'll get any interview that I want. I'll get a job down the road because I know that I'm valuable pretty much to any team that I come across. And it's not that BS like I can just talk people into shit. It's actually I know my stuff and I can map out a sales process for them and run it and show them how to do it. And that gets you hired, not the ability to BS your way through an interview. Like that's something we get a lot is, I'm a great salesperson. I just need some help on my resume and interview. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not a resume problem. It's not an interview problem. It's a skills problem. You don't got it. Like that's why you're not getting the jobs you want and you're settling for these other jobs. And people that will accept that message as harsh, but I don't believe in false kindness. I believe in being real with people because when I'm real with them and they can be humble and teachable, they will get to the next level, and it very quickly. So that's the thing that we do is we see confidence and the ability to do that. The second thing I always hear people say is clarity. I get clarity on exactly how to do all this stuff, and that also adds to my confidence. But I know where I stand with interviews. I know where I stand with the market. I know where I stand with customers when I'm in calls because I know how to structure everything. And so those are the things that I keep hearing from people when they come through the program. And so I'm loving that your story is hitting on the non-traditional route of I'm using this to do whatever I want in sales and to make my own business or to be a consultant or to run companies for people. So Yusuf, as we end this call, we've got, this is what I want to say to you, is we've got like 12,000 people on our email list. I mean, they've been following us since we launched about 10 months ago. We're not even a year old yet, but we're almost the largest sales boot camp on the planet. We're almost getting there. I mean, that sounds really cool, but actually no one owns the space yet. But we're going to be the ones that are taking it from a couple other ones out there. And they're still on the fence, man. They want to better their careers. They want to make more money. They want more freedom and control in their lives, and they want to be in sales, but they're still kind of hesitant. What would you say to that person that's still on the fence?
Look, I would tell that person, if you've been following for a while, there's a reason. Go ahead and take the leap. Get off the fence and get to it. I think probably what I went through, a lot of people go through, you're afraid of like committing all this time. You figure 40 hours, then I have to switch careers and switch this. There's a bunch of different ways, man. There's a bunch of different ways you can do things. Hey, you might find out that you're going to do this program and it's going to just benefit your job and maybe get you promoted. You know what I mean? Or it's just going to automate your job and you're just going to kind of just sit back and have a little, you know what I'm saying? It's so many more benefits than just like software sales, change careers, do this stuff. It sounds like big, it is like big picture stuff. It is big things that are going to happen in your life, but you're in control of the speed of this bigness. But you're gonna have the tools. Like, look, I'm a guy who I'm not supposed to be this successful right now. I got hit by a car. Like, thank God I'm walking. Thank God I have a new shoulder. You know what I mean? And I'm a scientist and I'm a wrencher. I turn wrenches. And now I'm here. I'm in software. I'm in the sales. I'm doing this and I'm doing really well. It's the confidence. It's the skills. It's there. And it only took me. I mean, it took me 3 months to finish. I did it in 3 months. because that was my schedule. I had rehab, I had this. It took me 3 months. I didn't have Josh calling me going like, hey, you got to finish, you got a time limit. It was on my back. No one sent me to the principal's office. You know what I mean? It wasn't like that. It's such a pleasure. Anytime, and I had so many questions. Anytime I had a question, just shot Andrew an email, give somebody a call, shoot someone this, and just get it done. It's a team of people. It's not online college. It's not high school. You know what I mean? It's not like that. It's a different thing. It's a group of people that are like, hey, you want to learn? Let's learn together. Oh, hey, you want to do this? Try this out. One more thing I want to say. After I spoke with my buddy and doing this lead generation, I got a job offer, not a job offer, but like a prospect from Prehired. So someone from Prehired sent me an email, hey, you would fit this job fantastically. Do you want to apply? So that's something I didn't even know Prehired offered. I didn't know they were doing a job. I was like, oh man. So like, and you know what? Like if I wanted to get that job, if I told him yes, I'll take it. I was very confident that I was gonna do extremely well in the interviews and get that job. But hey, it worked out that I'm gonna be here now, and that's cool. So definitely worth it. Such a low risk. It's not $10,000. It's not college tuition. But right now, one semester of tuition at the university I graduated for is like $9,000, and that's the most affordable tuition in like all New Jersey for a university.
Yeah. Yusuf, thank you for sharing your story. It's been awesome getting to catch up with you, man.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.